Thank you for joining us for another Marvel episode of Iron Panther Presents. Today we shall be discussing Captain America: Brave New World, which was originally titled New World Order. And they changed it. A lot of things changing with this movie. But what does Sam Wilson look like with the shield? We shall discuss. But anyway, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. You can like on the video, comment on the video, share the video, watch the video till the end. What does this mean for the future of the MCU? Should this movie have been put out earlier in the MCU? That's my own personal opinion. But we'll talk about all of that and the Incredible Hulk from 2008, which I thought was the more superior Incredible Hulk movie. But anyway, we're gonna enjoy the intro and then bring in Chris, and we'll talk about all of this.
Oh wait! I got to do it now. Wait! This is gonna be funny. Wait! You ready? I got to do it.
This is awesome. This is amazing. I love it.
It was psychological. It was emotional.
Extremely entertaining.
But as always, as we try to say here, as we said, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And as we talk about this video, please like on the video and comment on the video, and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
Alrighty, as we understanding, this is the #1 movie in America. I do believe Captain America. There are some differences of opinion on Rotten Tomatoes about how good this movie is. But we're gonna start with the positives. I got positives. I hope Chris has some. He's more of a comic book expert than I. So we asked the question, Chris, did it meet your comic book expectations? What you go in this movie thinking?
Wait. You asked me two different questions. You asked me, you told me to do positives, but then you said comic book expectations.
So my fault. Let's start with the positives. Okay. Let's start with the positives, please.
Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, positive. I gotta say, just the relationship you have between Sam Wilson's character and Isaiah Bradley. If you watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, if you didn't, you'll be lost. But well, maybe not lost. You saw that they developed a somewhat of a kinship in a way of him being like the lost soldier in action, going all the way back to the 40s essentially, Yeah. So I thought that. Yeah.
To the Korean War. I mean, for
the Korean War. Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway, yeah, but I just thought the relationship between them were really great. I thought anytime both of them were on screen, especially Isaiah Bradley, I thought it was really strong. You see the hurt and pain in his, in Isaiah's face. Anytime like he feels like a lot of stuff he's been whipped all these years, all these decades, and and even when he's in prison for something that he had no control over. You can see how it kind of beats him down even further. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a really strong highlight of the movie itself. Another positive I enjoyed was the post-credit scene, in the sense of basically not just the post-credit scene, but just other scenes as well as the post-credit scenes that basically giving the hints of talking about Avengers Doomsday, essentially having a tie-in to that. So we do have the tie-in to the Secret Wars, you know what I mean, where you have 616 going against all these other worlds clashing to each other, which hopefully, that's where we see like the Fantastic Four coming into our world, as well as like the X-Men and so. You know what I mean? So I like that it mentioned that. Obviously, the mention of adamantium, that was huge. I didn't think it was going to be brought up this way. I actually thought adamantium was going to be brought up through a different world, a different universe. Did not think they would do it through the celestial being. I thought it was going to be a different universe. And then, so we already established Wolverine, but now I think now that we have this adamantium now I feel like they're going to have to fast track Wolverine's story once again. You know what I mean? And all that. So if they ever recast him, I don't know. Or if Hugh Jackman does until he's like 80 or something, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, so that's another positive. I would say, I know a lot of people are kind of iffy about Anthony Mackie, but I gotta say, Anthony Mackie, I thought for a movie where he had to kind of hold his own. I mean, I say hold his own, even though Harrison Ford was kind of the co-lead. Let's be real. I thought he did rather good, pretty good as far as him having his own solo film. As especially, you know how people kind of, you know, the backlash that you get when anytime there's a change. You know, people like, oh, he ain't a super soldier. You know, blah 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 blah. You know, Chris Evans is better, and you know what I mean. I don't get it. He ain't a, you know, he, you know, what are they doing? They're doing the exact opposite of whitewashing, essentially. Like, what's happening here? Blah 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 blah. You know, not realizing that was in the comic books. Eventually, Steve Rogers gets tired of all this. You know what I mean? And he gives, you know, well, he gives the shield to Sam Wilson. I mean, at one point, Bucky Barnes also gets the shield, but that's much later, and he uses the shield in a completely different way. Speaking of which, I thought that was another positive, even though it was all of 2 minutes having Bucky Barnes. David texted me about a week ago and said, you know what? It's like, you know what? Like Terry said, you know, his wife was saying, like Terry said, it doesn't make any sense that Bucky won't be in it. And I was like, no, they're going to put Bucky in it. But it's going to be a road. I said this. I was like, it's going to be a scene like Brody was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, where literally like Sam Wilson's was in the museum, I think it was, and then Brody just stands right, and it was almost just like that. Like he's standing, all of a sudden he comes in. I was like, the entire time I was like, where's David? Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, where's David? Because I was like, oh my god! I was like, what the hell? They literally did the Rhodey thing. What? Like I didn't know it was gonna be that close. I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? You know, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that kind of ties into the Thunderbolts. Another positive, even though they changed it for comic book wise, was I love seeing Raging Hulk again. That's the thing I've missed. I mean, I'm all right with having a Smart Hulk that we've been having the last couple of years. I mean, She-Hulk thing kind of killed it, I think, too, which I wasn't a fan of, especially with Abomination being all like reading books and all that stuff whatever crap they did in that TV show. But having a Hulk that was all about smashing, like just tearing stuff up, I thought it was cool to see that. That being said, Red Hulk uses like he retains his mind though, so that's kind of a clear difference. Oh, and then bringing back Samuel Stearns and Liv Tyler from the original Incredible Hulk from 2008. I thought bringing them both back was good. I thought that was a good thing, and it left that little thing that we saw, because you know how you see like a little Easter egg stuff at the end of movies, and then they don't ever get back to it. That was literally the first film of the MCU. It was the first film, and for what? Oh my god, like for 15 years. 15 years.
2008.
Yeah, it did not. We didn't get anything. Right? So I'm like, oh, I guess we'll never get back to that. And then they came back to it. I have some criticisms about it, but you know, at least they got back to it. So, yeah. And some of the scenes I thought were okay. As far as the action scenes, I thought they were decent. So, yeah, those are my positives.
All right. I do have positives, so not to be redundant. So DeMarcus, thanks for hanging out with us. Jonathan Majors, we got to see, bro, like post conviction, we got to see what the MCU does with him. If they bring him back to kind of wrap out the Kang thing, my friend and I were discussing that yesterday. I think that would be kind of silly. Maybe some kind of alternate universe type of thing. But he does have a good size to him. So I like Sam Wilson and his relationship. Anthony Mackie is just a charismatic actor, and his chemistry with Bucky is established, and that was awesome even for the short time that he had it. His chemistry with the new Falcon was awesome, and like in their relationship, which was established like in Falcon Winter Soldier, like he has it. Like he brings that kind of energy, like both, you know, off camera and on camera, just when he as a person. So Anthony Mackie is just a great actor. I liked the action scene was awesome because he doesn't have the super serum when he's fighting, especially the opening scene of the movie. I liked it because you realize that this dude could get his butt whooped at any moment. Like he's just a dude, right? And so I like the fact that when he was fighting the one guy in the church trying to save the hostages, that was cool. His use of language, the different languages he spoke, Spanish, he spoke Japanese. Like I like the fact that he's like, I'm a world figure, and I thought that was awesome. Accepting him. I like the fact that they showed that he was accepted as the new Captain America. He's in the bar, and the guy's like, hey, it's all on me, Cap. Like we accept you, because that was a whole thing with Falcon Winter Soldier. And I watched the video before I went to go see the movie yesterday. They gave a comic book history on the character, and how like not my Captain America. Like that was a whole arc of like, how will the world react, right? And so I thought that was awesome to show that he was accepted. And he embodied the what was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So I thought, and I thought it was, as an action movie, if you're going in and looking for bang bang shoot 'em up stuff, this is something you should see. And you don't need to really understand Falcon Winter Soldier to see what's going on. I felt this was more of a sequel to The Incredible Hulk 2008 than it was the Falcon Winter Soldier, because they brought back Samuel, because they brought back Liv Tyler. At this point they brought back every character except for Ed Norton. Just as we understand the behind the scenes thing. But this movie says that Mark Ruffalo is in fact the recasted Ed Norton character. Like he's not a new Hulk that they just kind of retconned. That is who he is. And then so I was like, okay. So I thought I was like, that created some continuity issues for me. Looking backwards on it. But yeah, it was cool. And yeah, I like those type of things. What else? That's it. I liked, because I got some things that irritated me. It was Solid Cat. Anyway, Solid Cat. Okay, you said co-lead, so this is where I'll get into Harrison Ford should not have been in this movie. Like,
I agree.
Damn near anybody else.
Criticism.
Yeah, like I was like, this wasn't it. Like this was definitely not it. For him. But I can see them sticking by Anthony Mackie anyway. I know there was some issues when he was like Captain America should not just be America, but they made him more like a world figure. Isaiah Bradley was also with him. I would say, again, going back, this is not necessarily a criticism. It's just like when you introduce him, where's his grandson? Because that's the Young Avengers. Like, if you're gonna basically be a sequel to Falcon Winter Soldier, you gotta have him in there at some level.
Unless maybe they decided at last minute not to now. I don't know. I was thinking that too. I was looking out for him. I was like, oh, are they going to bring up the grandson? And then that made me kind of suspicious. I was like, they didn't show him. Like, does that mean he won't be part of the Young Avengers anymore? Like, I don't.
See, and I'm like, that's a missed. Even Isaiah was a missed opportunity. He did not have to be in this movie in any way. Like, he had no significant impact on the plot. He spent the whole damn thing in incarceration. If anything, this should have been the storyline for Falcon Winter Soldier, and that would have made more sense.
So that's why matter of fact, my criticism that I was going to say was, I was going to agree with you about the Harrison Ford thing and take that part out, but I would have preferred the movie to have been all about Isaiah Bradley being wrongfully imprisoned, and the movie just focused on that and trying to get him out. Now, I understand what you're saying about that. That seems like a plot for Falcon and Winter Soldier. But I'll take it even a step further. I don't think Falcon and Winter Soldier show shouldn't even happen at this point. What should have happened was, especially since pretty much everyone's seen Endgame, right? Everyone's seen Endgame. So everyone knows that he's the new Captain America. When we see him in that red, white, and blue suit, and then then there's a whole explanation about the Wakandians give him a suit or whatnot. Didn't even really need to show, right? Didn't even need to show, just all of a sudden maybe just have a plot line with him, Isaiah Bradley, and then just because it seemed like it was trying to be like Winter Soldier. What I appreciate about movies like the Winter Soldier, hell, even the first Iron Man, right, is that it did not have to have all these crazy science fiction stuff. There wasn't really. I mean, there was obviously, yes, there was science fiction, with them, but it wasn't like people transforming into something
Yeah,
ridiculous. There wasn't anything. It was more about espionage related stuff and just more of like dealing with trauma and stuff like that, and like, oh my God, what did I do? Like Tony Stark did, you know, in the first Iron Man movie. And you know, and when Winter Soldier, it just focused on one thing, and it was just focused on, seriously, yo, stop this killer who is like taking out all of these people, and it focused on that. And then in the meantime, then it turned into, holy shit, how many people are involved? Oh my God, the whole government, and then the slow reveal of what the government being part of Hydra. That was it. It was so simplistic in the sense of what it did. It did not try to throw you a bunch of stuff. I think if this, because you could tell it was trying to borrow stuff from Winter Soldier. If it focused on just that and just had just the whole thing with Isaiah Bradley, fine. I mean, I hear you. Maybe they don't have Isaiah Bradley, maybe have a different plot. But if it had like a simplistic plot to that,
yeah,
and you'd have been good. But I felt like, and this is where I think Universal, this is the problem with Universal, right? Because of the whole MCU/Universal issue with the Hulk that's still going on today, which is so fucking bullshit. And why the Hulk can never, at least right now, until Universal decides
next
to
year.
give up.
I think the rights are up next year. That's why World War Hulk won't be until like 27.
Right,
because,
right.
Like,
but
Universal still owns the character.
Yeah, and then so the Hulk always has to share a screen in order to get even this sequel, like you said, because that's what it was. This was a sequel, but in order to do a sequel for MCU to do it, you kind of had to make it like a Captain America tie-in. It was like,
but no different than Spider-Man. No different than Spider-Man, and they did better. Like Spider-Man cannot stand on his own because then that's Sony. Like every Spider-Man movie is
I'm
really.
gonna be honest with you. I don't think they should have done that with Spider-Man because Spider-Man. I would argue that Spider-Man, at least I'm not talking about the Andrew Garfield version, but the other Spider-Mans they had, it was fine. It was already reestablished. Look, there's other characters to do. I didn't even think. You already know my feeling about Spider-Man, anyway, right? Like,
yeah. So
I don't think Spider-Man's a horrible character, but I feel like there's other characters you could explore, and I understand. And I feel like now, and that's why I separate him from the Hulk because we have not seen a lot of the Hulk compared to the 9 Spider-Man movies that we have seen that had his own movies. It kind of does the Hulk injustice. And the only way we can really see the Hulk is She-Hulk. And people are like, oh, She-Hulk, but She-Hulk is not Universal because she's actually was absorbed to Marvel. It's such a weird thing. You know what I mean? But anyway,
Isaiah, I was gonna say Isaiah, he should have suited up when Taurus went down, right? And Cap still has to fight, the Red Hulk, right? Which they did not do a horrible job explaining. Like he should have suited up and been like, I'm with you, right? Like these two, because as much as he's like Ross is this and Ross is that and Ross is like, it should have been him and Bucky fighting this dude together as a team. Like that's what it should have been. Like because and then you would use the characters appropriately because Bucky didn't mean anything. As much as I told Chris, if Bucky's not in this bullshit, this movie is bullshit. I said it. But what I meant to say was, if he don't help out with the fight, this is that bullshit. Yeah. Because he was like, yo, bro, your partner is down. Why didn't you call me earlier? Let's start there. Why didn't you call me earlier before this thing went down? I got to get back to the campaign trails. So, I'll see you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? I'm dealing with the Hulk, bro. And you like campaigning, bro. What you want me to do? I was like, stop all of this. Stop all of this. And Isaiah's just sitting in prison.
Yeah.
Like he meant nothing. He meant nothing to the plot.
Yeah.
It was just there because of Falcon Winter Soldier. It was just there so we can remember him.
Yeah, and I think it was really. I think the only real thing for Bucky's involvement was to reassure Sam Wilson why he is Captain America. So it was like kind of another. It was a reminder if it was a very long time for you if it was a long time since you've seen Endgame. Now he gets to kind of expand on that speech at the end of Endgame of why you do have the shield. You know what I mean? Despite having a super soldier serum, which I'm not gonna lie, if I'm Sam Wilson, bro, just juice me up, man. Like what the hell? I'm so sorry. Like
What you-
you see Steve Rogers, there was nothing negative that happened to Steve Rogers except he couldn't get drunk. You know what I mean? The dude just couldn't
Well,
get drunk.
so
The only negative was he couldn't get drunk.
I hear you though. But you got to remember when you look at the Avengers, the only people that actually had something enhanced was Cap, Hulk, and Thor. Everybody else is just regular ass people, bro. Like I mean, and they were Avengers. You know what I'm saying? It was fine. I'm just saying.
Can I ask you, what did Black Widow do exactly during the Avengers?
She shot the same.
What?
She shot
what?
bullets. She shot bullets. I mean, like
Bruh.
Hawkeye did air. That's another bruh. I feel this movie should have came out right after Endgame, and this should have been the intro. This should have been the intro to the multiverse, because the leaders, which he did not refer to himself as such, the leaders I was like, what the fuck? His speech is talking about the multiverse, as we agree.
Yeah.
We've already had 4 movies dedicated to this shit. There is nothing he said that's groundbreaking that's supposed to lead to the mutant saga, was where we're supposed to be at. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. To your point, when he started off the speech, it reminded me of Nick Fury's speech at the end, Iron Man, when he said,
Yes.
when he says, "You think you're the only superhero?" And he says, "You think you're the only world?" And I was like, no, and I was like, yeah, okay, well, we kind of established that in 5 films, from Guardians to Doctor Strange, and let's see.
Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, fucking fuck.
Guardians,
Ant-Man. I don't know
Ant-Man,
what supposed to be. Ant-Man.
Yeah,
like
you
we've
ain't seen
done
that
this
movie.
already. Loki 2, if you want, if
you want to count the show, yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, that speech would have been perfect post Endgame, beginning of the multiverse saga, and that would have made sense. What does this mean? What is he talking about? And then we get to these other movies. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and that was the other negative I had. I mean, going back to what we were saying about them making this two movies in one is knowing, because I remember following this movie in the sense of being excited because I'm a big wrestling fan, and I heard Seth Rollins is in it. People were like, "Who else? Seth Rollins?" But anyway, Seth Rollins he's a popular wrestler now, and he was going to be in Captain America in this new movie, right? And he's going to be one of the Serpent Society members. And then they announced that Esposito is going to be the head of it. He's going to be Sidewinder. I was like, oh shit! Oh, they're going to bring the Serpent Society in this. They're going to put the whole family, the whole Serpent Society group is going to be in it. And then they did a lot of cuts. And they cut like the significant of it to make it where it was just Esposito just being in it. And because of that, his scenes was kind of like useless in a sense of he was only good for saying, "Oh, I have the buyer," and blah blah blah. And it was just like, no, what did y'all do? It's just because Serpent Society is a captain. That group is like one of the big villains to Sam Wilson's Captain America. And I thought that was a big opportunity to introduce them. They're all humans, right? So that would have been a worthwhile flex. They're just like really, they can just fight, really freaking well. And, you could I felt like this was a missed opportunity to make this. Again, I don't want to keep comparing this to Winter Soldier, but I feel like it could have been so grounded and still would have been a great film. And they were like, "Oh, the show throw Red Hulk on. Oh, let's also bring in another Widow in there," which I did not think worked. I'm sorry, I did not. I don't think bringing in every movie you got to bring in a Black Widow. And I'm sorry, but no offense to this actress, but it was so unbelievable that this little 4-foot tall girl was able to kick that much ass. I'm sorry, I don't care how much training you.
Well, she's a mutant.
Huh?
Her original character, she's a mutant. The original character, and they stripped her. They stripped her of her mutant powers. They stripped her. She was supposed to be Mossad, and they took that out too. So at least she's just Israeli. And then they had to make her something. So then they were like, "Well, we'll make her a former widow," because like I said, that's their go-to for women characters. So I feel, to your point, Sidewinder and the Serpent Society should have been the threats, and I think originally that they were. And when they started reworking this movie, they made the very bad mistake of bringing in Red Hulk and Harrison Ford and all that bullshit. And then it totally made a whole different movie. And then they threw in this Celestial for no damn reason, because that didn't make any sense. And I'm like, you're piling on too much to your set to a potentially grounded Winter Soldier type movie where a regular dude is fighting regular dudes, but they're just both really good fighters. And then that makes like a Defenders. Like you got the Avengers and you got the Defenders. And I'm like, you need to be at the Defenders level, bro. Because you ain't ready for this. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's okay. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
and then it will help also develop you and your relationship with Joaquin with the new Falcon. You know what I mean? And so, because I don't think we even got that much screen time with him, even in Falcon and Winter Soldier. We didn't even get that much screen time with both of them.
That was Bucky's. That was Bucky's.
Yeah. So even with the scene where he gets shot out the sky, it didn't seem as impact. I know what they're trying to do. They were trying to reenact, I guess, the scene in Civil War when Sam Wilson accidentally shoots out.
Yeah.
He shoots out Rhodey.
Yeah.
But then everyone's like, no, Rhodey. You know what I mean? When he fell, you know what I mean? Fell to his, you know, and wound up getting paralyzed or whatnot. He didn't have the same weight. Even though I'm not gonna lie, when that happened, I thought somehow he was going to become a mutant at that point, because that Falcon does eventually become he becomes a mutant when he's like experimented on. So I was thinking like, oh, is this where he actually becomes half Falcon or something?
Because with the scars and everything, I thought they were going to try to do some stuff to him. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing, he was still in the hospital, so maybe I don't know how they're going to do that.
I think they had too many characters they were trying to give screen time to.
Yeah.
Like the secret agent, the Israeli Ruth, she was unnecessary. The black woman was unnecessary. I'm like,
yeah, I thought they were gonna have a thing. I thought that black woman.
And it's racist just because she's black. We're like, oh, that must be his person on the inside. That's what I was like. I did. And then like she's just standing there for no reason. Like, what are you doing? Like you serve no purpose. Like I was like, I don't understand. Anyway, let's get this. They push Kate and Kamala and Wanda's kids, but when it comes to the young black guy Elijah, they remove his character from the film. I don't care about how the MCU does black characters.
They push Kate, Kamala, and Wanda kids, but when it comes to the young black guy, they remove his character from it. Okay. He's saying two different things. I don't know which direction.
No. He's saying like for the Young Avengers, he's saying like we've seen all these other characters in the MCU, in movies and TV. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's saying, but when it comes to Elijah, they didn't remove him from this movie. He was never in it apparently to begin with, and we're saying that he should have been in it because he was a major character in Falcon Winter Soldier. They didn't even talk about if this is going to be a follow up to Falcon Winter Soldier. To your point. What about the whole global refugee crisis? That was Captain America's, like mantle of like we must protect the minorities, wherever the fuck, and we gotta look after these people. What happened to that? None of this is discussed. None of it. So I'm like, it's like that. It's like the show didn't even happen. To your point, it's like, so what are we doing? Except the fact
what we're doing is we're doing a treaty to see who gets the adamantium, and I didn't think that was a strong plot, was to do like, oh, we must protect this treaty for adamantium. I didn't think that was strong at all. I didn't think that was, especially looking at the other plot lines for other films, seemed a little weak.
So after, and again, I just watched it this morning, y'all. So I watched a comic book origin video on the Leader, and how at some point he tries to like put spies across all the governments in the world to try to overthrow them and become like they could have. But then people probably would have said, now this is Winter Soldier. Now this is there's a big global conspiracy and the leaders behind it. But Adamantium was unnecessary. The Celestial was unnecessary, and they were just adding on shit. And I'm like, because now that they have the X-Men back, they're trying to be like, the metal. So when you see the guy, the thing. Yeah. But that's gonna be a multiverse issue. There's no way they're gonna build X-Men into this Earth. Like that's not. They don't have time for it, and it's not gonna make sense.
I'm starting to think. I used to think like you. But I'm thinking otherwise now, because I'm starting to think, especially like hearing stuff from like MCU, like watching videos from like Kevin Feige and whatnot. It seems like these guys are not really invested in trying to rehash full stories again, right? Just like the whole, like, so in order to not rehash a story again, you have to have these people already in our world. Like if you, to your point, if this is a multiverse, right? If you have the multiverse X-Men, right? And then you brought, like, for example, let's just say you brought in Rogue, like a different Rogue from a different universe, and you brought him here. Guess what? Now you have to do her personal backstory, right? The reason why we didn't have to do Spider-Man's whole backstory all over again, because he was already in 616, and Tony Stark just got him, so you already knew about the whole thing with Uncle Ben, and then him getting bit by a spider. I feel like in their head, they're like, yo, we don't want to start recreating another Wolverine, another like X, like, and have it where they're just already here. You know what I mean? Which I don't know what to take from that, if that's seen as either being lazy or whatnot, but I no longer think like you in the sense that I don't think they're going to make it a multiverse thing. That's with all of them. I think obviously they're going to do that with Fantastic Four, and I think Fantastic Four is warranted because it's been like forever since we even seen Fantastic Four, and you know what I mean, and even the last Fantastic Four that we had, practically nobody saw it. So you know what I mean, like no, you know what I mean.
I saw it before I deployed, but it was a bad movie. And like I think that when we went out to eat, like that time before I left, like I saw it like around that week, and it was like it was a terrible movie. Like I mean, mine's the fact that the whole brother sister situation. It was just a bad movie all the way around.
Yeah. And then I got to okay. I understand comic book accuracy. You don't necessarily don't want stuff to look too hokey, like hokey. Actually, what's the word? Hokey. Oh, hokey, right?
A hokey.
Yeah. I said hokey. I was thinking about the Incredible Hulk. But I'm sorry, man. Why did we get a semblance of this dude, of this guy? Like,
okay.
I'm not saying that his head had to, okay, and I get if you make his head too big, it just looks ridiculous, like MODOK, right? But like yo, but this dude just looked. I don't know what he looked like. He looked like he was in a swamp, like it lived in a sewer.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that ain't the leader. Y'all ain't do the leader right. And the funny thing about the leader is, in a weird way, the leader kind of was a handsome looking dude, but just green skin, and what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he had a little bit of like he was smooth, right? Until he was like, but then sinister. You know what I mean? And this dude was just like green eyed, like get revenge.
You only had one good eye. Like
know?
he was like, "Hey guy, how you?" I'm like, "What happened to his eye?" Like I didn't even. So anyway, Rashad saying the same thing. Isaiah Bradley, Bucky, and Sam should have. Yes.
Yeah.
That's how this movie should have ended, to make these characters make sense, and why they're in this movie, especially with again Taurus going down. It's just Cap. He's fighting a Hulk, and he's like, "There ain't no way in the world I'm surviving this shit." And then they just show up. They just show up ready to fight, and now he's leading a team, and that would have been awesome. Yeah. So again, I think they thought he would look like Megamind if they did it. If they did it comic book act, I think they would have been afraid that people not knowing who the character was would be like, okay, you just did Megamind, is what you did.
You think so? You think that's okay? Maybe.
That's who I thought of. Again, and I was like, the leader. One, he didn't even get to name the leader, but you can say the same thing about Captain Marvel, actually. Excuse me, Carol and Danvers.
He's still alive at the end, so maybe he will become the leader, and maybe he'll actually look.
His head will grow,
and then his hair. Yeah, he'll get hair. Maybe he gets smarter or something. I don't.
Bro, let me tell you this: the worst part of this movie was Harrison Ford.
Which part? Harrison?
Okay, so the worst was his almost Star Wars type given to the hate speech that the leader was giving him when he was on the aircraft carrier.
Oh.
And just take your fucking headphones off, bro. Like, it's not that hard. But then he's like, give in to the hate.
Yeah.
You can tear them apart. Give in to the dark side. And he was like, no, I can't give in. I was like, what the fuck are we doing right now? What are we doing right now?
Yeah.
None of this is necessary. He's like, I feel the hate flowing through me, but I have to hold it in. I'm like, stop all this bullshit. Yeah. Stop all this bullshit. And then with his shirt off, he is 80 plus years old. The one actor on earth we do not need to see with his shirt off. is Harrison Ford
Do you think
and
that
Al
was?
Pacino
Do you
and
think that
Robert De
was?
Niro. But I'm like, no,
Was that
no,
elder? Was that elder abuse? You think was that elder abuse?
bruh, it was. He should have been like, cut. Someone bring him a blanket, as they happen in every Hulk movie.
Yeah.
Like, bring him a blanket, and they lead the president off. That was
Right.
completely unnecessary
Yeah.
because he looked ridiculous.
Yeah. What
He
did you
looked-
think? So, what did you think of Red Hawk himself? What did you think of that? Like him as the Red Hawk? Like, not
I
necessarily
felt
Harrison Ford
the
as Red Hawk, but like Red
So
Hawk.
throughout the movie, I felt the CGI was solid. I felt he looked as good as he was gonna look. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a person who doesn't know who the character is, I didn't understand why the clothes were burning off him. I had to look it up to be like, oh no, like he's supposed to have like celestial energy and like gamma rays, which means he's burning, like he's actually like a burning thing. And I'm like, ew, and I shouldn't have to look that shit up, you know, like, and I'm like, so
yeah, they should explain it. Yeah, the angrier he gets, unlike the angrier he gets, the hotter he gets. You know what I mean? And which
where the heat come from? Like
from Gamma, and then ironically enough, when he fights the Hulk, he essentially becomes stronger because Hulk is radiating with all kinds of gamma. So Red Hulk essentially absorbs everything from the Hulk. So when he's around that, or when he's fighting like Silver Surfer, Red Hulk gets stronger and stronger. But then essentially he literally burns himself out and he passes out. So he's super strong. But the reason why he's still inferior to Green Hulk is because Red Hulk kind of has a time limit in the sense of him overheating. You know what I mean? He's like a PC after you overwork it after a while, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to sleep mode.
You hear the
You know what I
fans.
mean? And that's what Red Hulk is. Which brings me up to the next part. When I heard Betty's voice, and I knew that the leader was in it, and I knew about Red Hulk, I just knew, oh man, this is a missed opportunity. Maybe this just would have been a little bit extra, seeing how we already had like all these other CGI characters. I just knew they were going to turn Liv Tyler into Red She-Hulk. I just knew it. And they didn't. I was just waiting for the reveal, because that's actually how you find out that Red Hulk actually is Thunderbolt Ross. Is through Red She-Hulk, when you're fighting this random Red She-Hulk, whatever, and then she absorbs him and he becomes human, and then she's about to kill him, and he's like, kill me. He's like, why? It's like, why can't you kill me? And she's like scared. She's like, because you're my dad, like you're my father, whatever. She's like, Betty, you know what I mean? So that would have probably been extra.
If the movie was only about the Red Hulk, which pick a villain, like pick one villain and stick with it, right? Yeah. They could have did that. They could have. Liv Tyler coming back was awesome. I thought that I thought the which would have made more sense would be the whole in the Cherry Blossoms, right? The fight is taking a while, and bring in the sun is going down. Daughter comes in, calms daddy down, and he's like, sorry, baby, you're right, my bad. That would have made more sense than him on the raft. And she's like, hey, Dad, since you're going to be going to jail for the next 10 to 15 years, I guess, let's have a talk. Let's just walk around the raft. Like, I'm like, what are we doing? You missed the moment. You set up the moment, and then you missed the moment, because that should have been the moment. Yeah. And that should have been that's it. Yeah. Like, why would you not do that? And the leader should have been in She-Hulk, not this.
Yeah, I think I brought that up. I was waiting. Matter of fact, I think I told you like prediction from episode 1. I was like, oh, we're going to get the leader or something. You know what I mean? And I was just so disappointed that we never got that. I was just like, you know what I mean? So, yeah. No, I predicted him. Well, I was right about Abomination. But then I guess one of the trailers kind of spoiled that part already though too. But I was just thinking like, okay, I guess we'll never see the leader ever. Until I heard about New World Order, which you can't say that word anymore, but yeah, it's just so I would say, what you think overall about the movie? I don't think this. I know a lot. This movie's been getting kicked in the ass as far as being like, oh, this is horrible. It's one of the worst Marvel films. No. Let me just say no. There was a whole. I would say this is maybe in the middle, right?
That's what. No, that's what we were saying in the theater. This is a decent action movie. Like this really, it really is. Like if if you don't think about the problematic storyline issues,
Right.
to be honest, and you just go in for ass kicking, that's what you're gonna get from like
Yeah.
beginning to end. There's a lot of action, and it's awesome. Like it's visually awesome. I mean, even the Celestial look good.
Some of the CGI stuff was kind of off. Like Sam Wilson battling the Hulk in the background, the cherry blossoms. And it was like, that green screen. Come on, guys. Like some of that looked a little off.
I mean, but for the most, like him flying looked awesome, bro. Like him, like the flight sequence that looked awesome. Like so, dude, it was a good movie. We talked about Bucky anyway. Wakanda should have been front and center. I think Riri should have been in this because if you remember Black Panther 2, which was set in the ocean because of Namor, this should have been a thing. Like the Celestial should have been introduced in Black Panther 2. Now that you're saying that this is Antimanium, which is now some type of competitor to Vibranium, you would think the Wakandans would be involved. Like, not that we, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if it's a phone call, even if it's, hey, I talked to Shuri, she's like, hey, this Vibranium is and Antimanium are kind of very similar. Something like they would have made more sense than the Israeli agents and that random black girl. Like
to your point, the Wakandians were probably commandeered adamantium before all those other countries probably would have. You know what I mean? They were like, nope, this is ours.
Or Namor. Namor could have flew his mutant ass out the ocean and been like, all this shit belongs to me because I'm the king of the ocean. And then that would have been like, oh shit.
So, shit, that dude got wings. What the hell? His feet got wings.
He's a mutant. What's a mutant?
What's
and
a
then
mutant?
like I'm like, that's or even Captain Marvel, because how the fuck do you know what a Celestial is? Yeah. This is called Celestial Island. Yeah. How do you know what that is?
I was going to say, to your point, I thought at least one Eternal was going to be in this movie. I thought the Bali dancer, what's his name? The one who's in everything now.
Well, did he get sucked up with the rest of them? I thought they all got taken up by the other Celestial.
Only half of them did. Half of them did. I don't think he was one of them, was he?
It's been so fucking long, and I'm just saying, like, I thought that's what I thought. But my point, like, even if they would have said Captain Marvel explained it, like, we don't have to see her. But if they would explain, Captain Marvel explain what a Celestial is and what this is, it would have made sense. It would have made sense. And then I wouldn't be like, how do you know this stuff? Like that's
I was gonna say either I mean, I don't know, Captain Marvel's kind of dangerous to put on screen at the moment. But even if you put like a character from Guardians in this or something,
all right.
You know what I mean?
All right.
You put Groot in there and Groot explains to everyone, like,
or Valkyrie, who's still on Earth.
That's a good point.
This is my Valkyrie, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man.
Too much. You're already announcing too much money, man. They only had enough money for Bucky to be in 2 minutes. Like, come on, man, what you doing? Harrison Ford blew their budget, bro. Harrison Ford blew their budget.
Save the Harrison Ford money and stick it into actual legitimate Marvel characters that cost far less and are far more relevant. Riri would have cost $20, and they could have, and that would have prepped her for Ironheart. Like, I'm saying, like, because she's the one that made. Remember, she's the one that made the technology to found the vibranium in the ocean and da. Like, she could have been a part of that, and that would have made sense and that kind of stuff. It's just. That's not. It's just
especially how you see. I mean, especially seeing how she has a show coming up too. So, yeah, that would have kind of made sense. You know what I mean? So,
we got that's bad writing, guys. Again, I'm not sure when you wrote that, but it was a lot. This thing was fraught with bad writing. Like, just like the leader knowing. Okay, let's get back to Ross, because this blew my mind. Like, he's having a staff meeting with on the ship with his 2 advisors, right? And he's getting mad. Right, and you can see him turning. Like, that's why he hit the thing, and the broke. Like, he took the pill, which calmed him down. That's what we saw. Like, he was like, So I thought the pills were keeping the Red Hulk at bay. No, it's the radiation that's creating him. So this doesn't make any sense. Like,
no, so it was probably like a placebo. Like, you know how like you have placebo groups where it's like you take a pill or whatever, if you have anxiety and all of a sudden you calm down. It's the idea of you thinking that the pill will calm you down. This is the thing that calms you down. I think that's what it wound up turning into was, I take this pill, my heart will slow down or whatever. So he knew as long as I can get this open, I'm good. And then I think that was mentally what it was.
This should have been explained, bro. I'm just saying. And then they want you no, seriously, they were like, he's been feeding you pills for over 10 years of radiation, and it doesn't kill you for some reason. And you've never been in a stressful situation that you turn into a Red Hulk. Yeah. It's only when you hear his voice. He said, I'm doing all this because you didn't let me out of prison. Okay, I'll go with that. So then you put yourself back into prison so you can play an audio tape. So he can go, oh my God, you're the one. All of this could have been done without you being in the prison. It doesn't make sense. Like, none of this makes sense. Like, the leader looks stupid as fuck right now. Like,
you mean physically or just mentally?
Both. At this point in the conversation, both. Like, he looked like the Emperor, and he was talking like the Emperor. Particularly as we talked about when he was trying to get Harrison Ford upset. It was
yeah, and I didn't think, we have we have villains that have strong motivations of tearing shit up in movies, right? Obviously with the whole thing with Thanos, right? And why Thanos wants to wipe off half the world. We have Killmonger and why he did what he did or whatnot. And they've made like kind of excellent villains in a sense. This one, as far as what they did to the leader, you could have had that where he was the villain in the sense of him focusing on Ross. But then, in my opinion, you should have a much bigger villain than him. Because if all he was trying to do was to embarrass, because let's be real, the whole point of the villain was just to embarrass Ross and to have the world look at him as a fraud, and that was it. That was it. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking like, that's not really a strong motive for a villain, unlike what happened in Civil War when you had I'm blanking out of his name. Zemo essentially turned them against each other, turn all the Avengers against each other because of what happened to his own country. You know what I mean? That freaking made sense, and the impact of what he did was catastrophic. This one wasn't strong.
It wasn't strong enough. He could have just walked out of prison like he did in the end. He just and like, look, then I'm like, his mind control bullshit didn't make any sense. So somehow he figured out he had genetic profiles of all these people. Okay. So then he uses lights to control the people at the White House, right? That's how he did it. But everybody after that was here by a song. They hear a song and they immediately know who to kill. They immediately know how to fly aircrafts. Like, how the fuck is that a thing? That's how did he know the two pilots were going to be involved in the Japanese thing? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, see, the thing is though, and that's what annoyed me too, because the leader as a character, I mean, obviously his initial superpower is he's just a super piece. He's a supercomputer. His mind is a supercomputer. But then he also develops telekinesis. He's able to, read, like, not necessarily read thoughts, but to get in your mind and to not necessarily go like Professor X style and really warp it, but just kind of maybe change it just for a split second. But at least that stuff, and you would have thought, at least if that was the case in this movie, if that was the route they're going to take, we would have saw a little bit of that, but it wasn't. It just made it seem like all he was good at probabilities. And I was just like, don't do it. Because let me also tell you about a crazy known fact about myself and this character. All right. When I was a kid, right? Have you ever seen Jingle All the Way? You ever seen the movie Jingle All the Way?
No. I know what it is. I know what it is.
Well, in the movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger is supposed to get his kid the most popular toy, which is Turbo Man. And all these stores, all they had left was his sidekick Booster, right? Which nobody wanted, was Booster, right? So he's like, oh, here's Booster, whatever. So essentially, when I was a kid, it was like this abomination toy that I really liked. He was huge, and he was like kind of like this size. He was that big. His arms was humongous, right? Dark green and everything. And apparently, my parents like they couldn't find it. They couldn't find it. So instead, they gave me, but for Abomination for the Hulk, they got me the leader, which is like he was the skinny thing, whatever, the leader. And I was just like, oh great. But you know what the funny thing is, yo, me and that action figure, we were cool, man. I made my little action figure mind control everything and whatnot. So he became one of my coolest action figures growing up. And then I finally got my Abomination toy as well, right? So I say that to say, even on Geeking Out, that the leader kind of holds a little place in my heart just because of that. You know what I mean? Off of a character I did not want
That's a beautiful story. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah, as a toy.
And then you watch this movie, you were like, "This ain't the leader. This ain't my leader."
Yeah, this ain't Abomination. And then it's just like you gave me the leader. Oh, the guy who created Abomination. I don't know. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, and then I just want to love him. You know what I mean? So that's why I was excited for this movie because I heard the leader was, and I heard like, oh, did you want to see? Like, there's like first look at Tim Blake Nelson as the lead, as the leader. And I'm like, nope. I try to steer away from it so I could see him in theaters. And then when they tease him, I'm like, ooh, and it was like didn't show his top half of his head, like, ooh,
yeah.
And then I was like,
the fuck? Like, you need some hair club for men, and he would have been fine. Like he did.
Yeah, but even bigger than the physicality of him, it just wasn't. I was like,
it wasn't it.
He's supposed to be one of the smartest men in the planet. He is. I mean, technically speaking, he's supposed to be. I guess he would be on par as Dr. Doom. You know what I mean? But you got him, Dr. Doom, Reed Richards, Bruce Banner. By the way, I saw in the cast for this movie, Mark Ruffalo was supposed to be in this movie. Didn't know who knew that. Mark Ruffalo was supposed to be in this movie.
What happened?
Don't know. I got to look that up. I found that out like maybe 20 minutes before we started filming.
Because like,
so look at it.
So my point, like, even if the leader would have brought in the Abomination at the end to be like, okay, this is all going to be about the Hulk, right? And it's like, okay, I'm bringing in the Abomination. I'm mind controlling him to be like a double whammy to like to Sam. Like that would have made some type of comic book sense, and that would have made sense for this thing. But right now, like Banner is out in space going to World War Hulk because he's about to go see his baby mama, I guess. And like so he's off planet. She-Hulk established that he's off planet, and I'll accept that. But like you got too many Earthbound. Also, the other thing to your point of Nick Fury. Now Sam says he has to rebuild the Avengers, and I'm like, okay, let's do that. Well, again, Doctor Strange, Shuri, like you got heroes, you got Bucky, you got heroes on Earth. I mean, so it's actually not that hard, and he contacts none of these people. Hawkeye is still alive. He's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, these are people that can get back into the game.
Well, I guess my thing is he agreed with Ross at the very end. I was like, it was kind of weird that he sided with Ross on that end. And I was like, I did not understand. I don't know. I didn't understand.
What? I mean, what is there to disagree with? I don't understand what's there to disagree with. Like, if he said the Avengers needs to be put back together again, he's like, all right.
But then they would be working under the U.S. government, which is why Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers went on the run anyway. They went on a run in Infinity Wars because of that. And then now you want them to work for the same government that was coming after.
Well, one, we don't know, for some reason, we don't know who the vice president was. So we'd have no idea who the president is. But to your point, thank you for bringing up Civil War, because in this movie, when Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt says, I almost died, I had a heart attack, and he built my heart. We actually had that conversation already in Civil War. So actually, Sam knew that he had a heart attack, and this is not addressed. Like, to be like, don't you remember when I told you I had a heart attack on the golf course? Because that's what he said. Yeah. Now we're trying, the leader's the one that built his heart back up and da-da-da-da-da. But I'm like, we already kind of connected this.
Yeah.
And then there's no mention in that conversation of, hey, dude, aren't you the one that put a Banner in jail? Look, that tried to imprison him and then caused the attack in Harlem, since you're doing a highlight reel of our biggest disasters? Like, none of this is addressed in the movie because he's not supposed to be that Ross. Like, even though he is actually physically the character. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, now you're looking at the inconsistencies that this has created in what we know is the MCU. It's almost like it sounds like what?
Yeah. I mean, overall, I would say for this film, I don't know. What would you give from 1 to 10? I go back and forth. I would say maybe it's going to be. I don't know. I go back and forth between 6.5, 7. I don't know, 7. I'll give it a 7, maybe 7.5, maybe
6.
You give it a 6? Okay.
I got it. Harrison Ford brought this movie. Besides from the Return to the Dark Side scene, him in an army uniform with that bullshit mustache on hurt me.
That was because of William Hurt. I understood that because of the past. Like they had to somehow link the two because William Hurt always had the mustache.
They did not. They did not. Like that could have been conversation, bro. Nothing. If you remember 2008, that scene in no way, shape, or form matches up when Tony came in and was like, "Hey, I got this team I'm trying to put together," which also never gets brought up again. Because like Tony tried to recruit him, never gets brought up when they meet.
No, he's trying to recruit the Hulk.
He's trying to recruit him to be like, "Hey, bro, can you help me out?" Because Ed Norton's Hulk was on his own, so technically he know where the hell he was. He was like, "Hey, I got this program." Hulk flew out of New York. He was by himself in the cabins, trying to how to control his rage.
Exactly. Yeah. And guess what? Guess who knew where he was? It was Ross. No, he didn't find Ross so he can recruit Ross. He found Ross so he can find where the hell Banner is. Because he knew Ross always knew where Banner was and always hunted him down. Like, what the hell's what the hell, Ross? Like, Ross is just a phone call away. What? Like, the fuck?
So he could have been like, "Hey,
that would have made no sense. You did all that just to recruit him."
Conversation never came up again. I am right on this. Like, even in Civil War, it never came up again. Which they also his military. So in the comic books, he's an Air Force general, which I didn't know that. In the movies, he's an Army general, but for some reason in Civil War, he's dressed up like a Navy officer. And then in this one, he's on a Navy ship. And I'm like,
they're trying to respect all the branches, okay? And the next one, he'll be a Marine, okay? And then he'll be messing around with the Coast Guard.
Somehow he'll be in the Coast. I was like, what is happening?
And then he'll be piloting something for Space Force. You know what I mean?
I feel like he'll be flying a jet. No, for real though. Like, as much as Harrison Ford is an outstanding actor, an icon, this wasn't it. Like, this was not it. Like, he really hurt this movie. And
I don't think that deep about it, but to your point, they could have definitely done the movie without him. I don't think he hurt the film, but his part, his storyline shouldn't have been part of this. To your point. To your point, you know what I mean? Because I think Harrison Ford's still a good actor, and even at 80, oh my God, 80, I thought as far as acting wise, I thought he was still a really good actor, but he just, to your point, it just wasn't necessary to have that, and I feel like it was just their way of having a sequel to Edward Norton's Incredible Hulk, and that's and this is kind of the only way to do it, at the expense of poor Anthony Mackie in a sense, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So I don't know. They should have done Anthony Mackie kind of better than that as far as his first solo film as Captain America, in my opinion.
I feel like he held his own, and I think that's the reason why they didn't have Bucky show up for one. Yeah. They wanted him to stand on his own 2 feet and his own 2 wings and take on a Hulk and win, even though dare I say it's not realistic. But no, I don't. In no way do I feel Harrison Ford overshadowed him. In this movie, the storyline was unnecessary. Like Sidewinder should have been the main and the only villain.
Yes, him and his crew, him and the Serpent Society, which they cut from the film.
That's it.
Whatever version that is, I hope Disney Plus or whatever they release whatever version they won't, but they should. So, but yeah.
Oh shit! Hey, I'm sorry, man. I gotta get to my next video.
All right. Well, anyway, all right, guys. Well, all right. What you guys think of the movie? Let us know down in the comments. Until then, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Again, go see the movie if you can. Disney Plus. Watch this movie on Disney Plus. You'll be fine. I'm not saying this is not a theater movie. I think Chris would agree with that. Disney Plus would be fine. But anyway, I gotta get to New Orleans. So later.
I will say thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. I see people watching, people in the chat.
I enjoyed the view very much. I don't know what the fuck I was watching.
Rewatch this. Rewatch this when we're done. Rewatch this. You'll see what we're talking about. You'll be like, oh shit.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
What do I go there?
Stacey, do your thing. Fuck that shit.
But anyway, please like and share and comment on the video and all that kinds of stuff. As they say, we're just going to end this broadcast and say bye.